is 2:36 and you're with Kate White on Radio Fremantle 107.9, and I am so thrilled to welcome our special guest, Hawa Ridhwani, Perth's very own Sustainable Ex Shopaholic. Thank you so much for joining us today, Hawa.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, it's so good. If you're anything like me at all, listeners, and the thought that the toothbrush your grandparents were using in the 1950s is still languishing in landfill horrifies you, and you are on an imperfect journey, like me, to live in a more sustainable way, I can only recommend Hawa's recently launched YouTube channel devoted to helping us discover easy, sustainable swaps in our everyday lives and live more intentionally. It is very informative and really helpful. Hawa, what inspired you to launch the current series?
I think it's a lot of things, to be honest. I'd like to say that it probably wasn't like one big thing that really put me on this journey. I think it was a few small little things, like facts that I found out about, for example, toothbrushes that were made in the 1950s still exist today. The fact that in places like America, everybody produces 2 kilograms worth of trash daily.
Gosh.
Yeah, which when you think about, you add that up over a year, that's like 700 kilograms of trash per person. And then you add that with, how many millions of people there are in places like America and Australia, it just really adds up. And that's not really anything that really helps, to get rid of the trash like in a more sustainable or in an eco-friendly manner. So I think it was just facts like that over time just really inspired me to go on this journey.
That's so interesting. I think for all of us, it's incremental change. And I love the way you've presented the information to us. What Hawa's done on her YouTube channels, which, again, I'm going to say, watch them. They're funny and they're engaging, but is the way you've grouped the products by usage. So that's a great one for me. It's really helped me kind of compartmentalize. So your first series was bathrooms, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite swap in the bathroom, do you think?
I think my favorite swap that I made in the bathroom would actually have to be the bamboo toothbrush.
Yeah.
There's something nice, I don't know if this is like a silly thing to say, but using a bamboo toothbrush kind of, when you're using something that's made out of wood, it kind of brings you back to nature, which if you're living in like an urban city, it's kind of nice to kind of bring you back down to your roots. And I feel like a bamboo toothbrush, which is, the first thing that we do in the morning is we brush our teeth. It's like, it just reminds us that by making that one simple swap, you're saving something that's going to be decomposing in landfill for the next 50 to 400 years.
Yeah, so there's a trick with that because you take out the bristles before you compost the bamboo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be composted within 4 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. I can only say thank you because you've done the other thing that this series tells us and shows us is that you've gone out and done the hard work. And so I think that is the shopaholic side of you.
Yes.
You're a good shopper.
Yeah.
And you've gone and done the research. So one of the swaps in the bathroom that I loved was the shampoo and conditioner bars, which kind of, they're one of those things that I think people who might be just beginning their sustainable journey might think, oh, wow, that's quite a big step away from the kind of mainstream, a little shampoo bar and a little conditioner bar. And they can be quite hard to find. But, of course, you've found great ones that are wrapped in cardboard and they really last a long time.
Yeah.
And they're available at Woolies. Who knew?
Yeah. And Lush as well is also another really good one. And I guess that is... with my shopaholic tendencies that I'm trying to get rid of, I guess one good skill that's come out of that is that I do put a lot of research and hard work into buying the products that I do. And the good thing, I guess, is that once I get actually fixated on buying something that's sustainable, I'll make sure to do a lot of research beforehand to make sure that whatever it is that I'm getting is going to be sustainable and it's going to suit me and hopefully suit other people as well. And I always try and make sure that any caveats that come with that product, that I make that known.
I thought it was, there was earbuds, a brush, deodorant. The reusable razor is a great one as well. And actually, I've realised that's going to be in everyone's little Christmas presents this year. because it's just one of those simple things, isn't it? But, you give us great advice about it, like it's not a plastic razor, use it differently.
Yeah.
So you've done that background research. I'm going to say one that I know for the bathroom, which wasn't on your list, which I'm proud of, which I got onto during the pandemic, during the lockdown last year. Toilet paper.
Yes.
So I got onto a company that send the paper on a regular sort of rotation.
Yeah.
But it's made of bamboo as well, actually.
Oh.
And there's no plastic wrapping at all. And it comes in a cardboard box, and all the paper is wrapped in a paper or bamboo wrapping.
Yeah.
And it's called Pure Planet, I think.
Oh,
and it's really cute.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of fun because it's one of those things now that I never think about because it just gets delivered, which I love.
Yeah.
But it's also the whole production of it is really sustainable and it's great. Everything gets composted or,
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
well.
And I think that's the thing, like things like toilet paper and bamboo toothbrushes, I think sometimes we tend to forget that, 50 years ago or back when our grandparents and our parents used to live, there wasn't as much plastic as there is today.
Yeah.
And it kind of teaches us that we are able to live a plastic-free life. Our grandparents did it. Like they used to have the milkman that used to, give us milk every single week. So
yeah,
and
in reusable. I remember it even as a kid in Australia.
Yeah.
We used to get milk at school in little glass bottles, and those bottles would get recycled.
Yeah,
because there'd just be a little aluminium cap on it.
Yeah,
I just yearn for that simplicity. I mean, actually, toilet paper. I mean, not a great subject. Nothing glamorous about it, but it is a new product.
Yeah.
It's a really new product. Mm-hmm. It's not that many generations ago that, people sat and tore the newspaper up in squares and put a bit of wire through it and hung it up.
Yeah.
So, you're right to get us to think about that whole idea around sustainability and what are we using and why are we using it. I'm not suggesting we just revert to dunnies in the backyard and newspaper, but, it's good to get us thinking about that.
Yeah.
So you post a video every Friday.
Yes.
And your second one was about kitchens.
Yes. Yeah. Kitchen swaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kitchen swaps are amazing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because I'm definitely not a cook, and I think I did actually say that in my videos. So I think a lot of the swaps that I recommend has to do with like food storage. And I've got to say, anybody who's using Ziploc bags, I highly recommend the Stasher bags. I think that's my favorite thing.
I think it's my favorite thing, and I haven't even found one yet, but they just are awesome, aren't they? So you can cook, like you told, you can cook with them, you can store things, you can freeze, you can do whatever. Like they're just fantastic, super versatile. You put them in the dishwasher, and just use again and again and again. So they're flexible.
Yeah, silicone.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, the material of it, and just the fact that you just said like versatility. I think, and it being multi-purpose. Those are the things I look for in a product.
Kitchen stuff, I think we're getting our heads around that a bit more, more stainless steel, more glass, more beeswax wraps.
Yeah.
I haven't bought cling wrap or saran wrap for a really long time now, so I'm happy about that. And I have those silicone, they're the lids that you can put over a normal bowl for leftovers and things like that. So I use those quite a lot. They're really useful.
Yeah.
But what do you think the challenges are for people in going on that, making those changes?
I think the main challenge I would say would be about having to actually really look at your lifestyle and having to audit where do you make the most trash. I think that's the one thing, because I think you can watch as many videos as you do on, sustainable or eco-friendly swaps that you can make, but if it's not something that you can customize or tailor to yourself, that makes the journey quite hard, because somebody else's trash wouldn't be the same as the trash that you make yourself. So I feel like it's a lot of reflection, I would say, and a lot of auditing your lifestyle and making sure that the swaps that you're making is going to be really suited towards you and your needs. Yeah,
I think that's really a really insightful thing that you do in your initial program, because the first video is actually about, okay, I'm introducing you to this idea of sustainable swaps. And so you suggest that idea of auditing. And I thought that was great because absolutely, as you just said, that everyone's rubbish is different, and what we need to make changes on is going to be different.
Yeah.
And what's going to work for us. I think personally one of the challenges I find, and it's just such a little stupid organisational hump I have to get over, but I don't always have the bags with me that I need. Yeah. So I have one of those fantastic bread bags and it's at my house. It's not in my car where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And the other great one are the produce bags, which I have got a really cute one that someone made out of old curtain netting. It's a great thing that people do. And I keep forgetting to have it with me. I'm good with shopping bags. I think we've kind of done that journey, but I think it's behavioural change.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's just little things like the fact that you've got these products already is already a really good first step. But I guess, I've actually been reading like a book called Atomic Habits, which is a book on like how you can make really small behavioral changes. The fact that you've got the products, I guess the next step is you've got the products itself. The next thing is how do you arrange the systems within your life so that you don't actually forget to bring the produce back. So whether it's a matter of like once you actually take the groceries out of the produce bags and then you just put it in your handbag that you take to work and then, make a point of putting it in your car. It's just little things like that, I think. Yeah, like small behavioral changes so that you spend 5 seconds doing that and then that saves you from having to, get plastic produce bags or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, on that good note, we'll come back and have a little bit more talk about the very broad idea of sustainability that I think you also address. Let's have a listen to this. It's Ann Peebles and I Can't Stand the Rain. It is 2:54 and we are so lucky to still have Hawa Ridhwani with us talking about her sustainable swaps and her wonderful new YouTube channel, which you can easily find by looking up Hawa's name or Sustainable Swaps or Sustainable Swaps from an Ex Shopaholic. Hawa, I feel like your videos really tackle some big issues around our shopping behaviour that impact sustainability beyond just the products themselves.
Yeah, because I feel like it's been really interesting, like when I've been doing research on sustainable fashion or slow fashion, you actually quickly realize just how much consumerism has really like boomed over the last couple of decades. Like it's really interesting when you actually do some research to see that back in like the 50s and the 60s, a woman had like 30 items in her wardrobe, and nowadays a woman could have somewhere close to anywhere between 200 to 500 items.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's actually crazy because back then when people used to shop for their wardrobe, they used to shop on a seasonal basis, but now every week is a new season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the fast fashion kind of cycle, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and of course now that, they're so interested into like fast fashion, and the issue with that is that the quality of the products that we're buying as well isn't made to last. And I guess it's just been really interesting because I've realized like over the last like couple of years that just the items that I'm wearing, and I buy them with the intention of keeping it in my wardrobe for years and years to come, and within 2 years or even after several washes it completely disintegrates. Yeah, and that's just not what I want to put my money towards. Yeah.
That you have released, Hawa has released a lovely video called 5 Bad Shopping Habits, and you really raise in that idea about what you want to put your money toward and what you deserve.
Yeah.
And help people identify some bad habits that they can then maybe overcome, and you've given some strategies about that too. But I really want to compliment you on the way that you share your own behaviour with people so that there's something we can relate to.
Yeah, I guess, like the shopaholic tendencies within me, I think in the last, I would say 7 to 8 years, it's been really interesting to see just how much, I think when I moved here from Malaysia, you went from living in a third world country to a first world country. Suddenly I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so many privileges and so many shops and stuff like that you can shop at. And it's just been really interesting to see that when you're put in a city where there's so much abundance, you kind of buy into that. And then, of course, there was also the rise of social media in the last decade that I feel like now we get ads on Facebook and Instagram, which previously we never used to. And now TikTok videos are 1 minute long, and you just have ads throughout it and stuff like that. So it's just been really interesting to see just how your behaviors can really be influenced by that. Like, you may watch an ad now and that might not have such an impact on you, but have it been shown to you like multiple times, it kind of plays in the back of your head. Yeah, so it just really influences your behavior over time, even if it happens subconsciously.
So Hawa Ridhwani is the Sustainable Ex Shopaholic. And she doesn't only offer us practical advice and reviews and sort of guidance around products that we can really easily swap what we're currently using for something that's sustainable, but also helps us to be better, more mindful consumers through sharing her own life examples, which I think is fantastic. I can recommend the YouTube channel to you. It has really engaging, fantastic content. But you have an Instagram page as well?
Yeah, so the Instagram page that I have is called Sustainable X, so the letter X, Shopaholic, so Sustainable Ex Shopaholic. And yeah, I guess that kind of, I picked that name because I feel like it just kind of represents me as an ex-shopaholic who's trying to lead a more sustainable and mindful lifestyle.
I think what's really reassuring watching you and talking to you is that I get that, you're not a person who's this perfect, living a perfectly sustainable, having no impact on the world. You're an ordinary girl. You love handbags.
Yes.
You've dedicated a whole
video on it.
Life so far to them.
Yes.
But you're interested in going on this journey, and you're doing it with such a kind of a really lovely structured way that really helps us.
Yeah.
And helps everyone around you. So I'm really grateful for that. It's awesome. What can we expect next, Hawa?
Yeah, so I think the next series of videos that I'm going to be doing has to do with like sustainable brands that if you obviously use what you have and shop secondhand when you can. But if anybody wanted to get into buying from sustainable brands and make sure that the brands that you're buying into make things that are supposed to last, but they also make from sources that are ethical. So I'm going to be doing like a series of videos on like sustainable bag brands or sustainable jewelry brands that you can you can know from my research.
That's so good. All the important things that we all need in life. That's so good. Thanks so much for joining me today, Hawa. I'm really grateful for your time, and everybody get online and have a watch of Hawa's YouTube channel. It's just fantastic. This is Down for You and by Cosmos Midnight and Ruel.